Hi there everybody, Mike here from Hebden Photography, back once again, this time with another tutorial on skin smoothing. There's a lot of different ways to smooth the skin and maintain the texture. This is just one of them. This one is really great because I find that the texture that's left behind is really realistic. So I have here an image of Heidi. Heidi has been kind enough to let me use her photo. And we've done some minor healing and such already, and the picture is pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to smooth the skin out here. And the skin, and not that the skin is a problem, if we zoom in here, you see your skin is looking really good. There is texture, and what I want to do as far as skin smoothing, because skin smoothing is not to remove blemishes. Don't ever think that it is. You heal the skin with the healing brush, and I can do a tutorial on skin healing. In order to get rid of blemishes. Skin smoothing is a completely different thing. And what I want to do is you can see the transitions all throughout this image of highlights and lowlights. Here's a highlight right here, and here's a low light there, and the transition in between them is what we're trying to smooth. We're trying to soften the transitions. Here's a highlight here, a low light, then another highlight. We want to make sure that those, we still want them, but we want them to transition into each other smoothly. In this particular case, here's a bit of a problem. Not a problem, but an area that I'd like to see smoothed out, just so that there's not a hard edge between this highlight and this shadow. One thing I'd like to do probably before getting started is, this is Heidi's finger here. She's wearing some long gloves. I can see her finger popping up, and I don't know that I like that there. So we're just going to get rid of it really quickly. A little bonus tutorial on the Content Aware Fill tool. So I'm going to go, as you just saw me there, I'll do it again. Duplicate the layer so that I'm not working on the original layer. I just grab it and drag it down to the new layer icon, and now I have a copy. If I come over here and grab my lasso tool, I can select around this finger fairly closely, but loosely still is fine. There we are. I just fire on up to the edit menu, down to fill, and make sure in this drop down menu that Content Aware is selected, and click OK. There we go. And that's it. It's gone. It's gone ahead and created a strap from this outfit, and I think that's going to be good enough for what we're going to use this picture for. What I'm going to do is merge this down to one layer. I'm just going to flatten it down by hitting Control E. And now I've just got the one layer, as though you had just opened up an image, but I don't have this. But I don't have the finger here that we didn't need. From there, what we want to do is duplicate the layer by dragging it down to the new layer icon. And then in here, to set the blending mode, we're going to switch it to Vivid Light. That looks really crazy right now, and that's okay. It's supposed to. Now this is an inverse layer technique, and we need to invert the layer. We'll do that by holding down Control on a PC, Command on a Mac, and I. And there we go. That's what happens. Yours may look a little bit different, but basically you'll have this gray tone all over the place. Now the part where we're looking for maintaining the texture, because the whole idea behind this technique is to maintain the texture in the skin, we're going to need to blur the layer. It seems a little bit weird blurring the layer, but because we're working on an inverse layer, everything is sort of reversed. So if we were to sharpen the layer, it would actually become softer, and if we blur the layer, it becomes sharper. Everything's kind of working backwards. So I'm going to go up into my blur menu and Gaussian blur. Now the amount of blur that you pick is going to be based on the resolution of the image that you're using. I think this one is about 300 pixels per inch, I think, that we're set at. You can find how your proper blur amount because it'll show you. You put a check mark in the preview box here, and then you can pull this slider up. Or a little trick for you is, if you want to go, if you want fine control, you make sure this number is highlighted, and you can use the wheel on your scroll mouse. And just go up until you see a decent amount of detail in here. That's actually not too bad. I'm going to ramp it up quite a bit, actually. I want to make sure that we're getting pores everywhere. And also, I kind of like to do it a little bit overboard so that you can see it on video. 14 is probably pretty good for me. I don't think actually that's an unreasonable amount even for my own use. Never mind just putting it for YouTube. Okay, so now you can see in here a lot of sharpness has come out. All these, it's brought into some. You can see all the pores and the details in the skin. And what I also need to do now is run a high pass filter on it. We go up to filter, down to other, and select high pass. Now the high pass normally sharpens a photo, and again, since we're working on an inverse layer, the more high pass we add, the softer the photo is, the more blur that's actually going to happen. So again, same technique. I can grab this slider or make sure this number is highlighted and use my scroll wheel, and I start working up. I've got to pay attention to these areas here, the areas of transition where we're going from highlight to low light, and make sure that they're soft enough. That's pretty smooth. It's got a decent glow to it. If we were to shock it back to 0 there, you can definitely see the difference that we're making. So I'm going just I'm around 25. Seems pretty good. Now, if that's the look you want, that kind of a glow, then you're pretty much done. If that's what you're after. I find if you look down on the detail of her outfit here, turning it on and off, we kind of lose some sharpness that I'd want to have. So what we're going to do is put a mask on this so that we're only going to apply these changes to areas. As you can see, her eyebrows and eyelashes are kind of softening with this, and the hair is changing, and I don't want that. So I'm going to apply a layer mask to this. I'm going to do that by holding down the Alt or Option key, Option on a Mac, and selecting the mask icon right down here. If I just select the mask icon, it puts a white mask on here, you can see, and then we would paint black in order to remove anything. If I hold down the Alt or Option on the Mac and click the key, it puts a black layer mask on, and now everything is gone, at least everything from that layer, and now we have to paint it in. So I'll grab my brush over here. I'll make sure that my foreground color is white, and that's going to reveal the changes from this layer. And let's just start brushing on the skin. I want to avoid areas of sharpness. I want to avoid the edges of the eyes, the eyebrows. So then I just want to paint on the skin where I'm trying to smooth out the highlight changes, the transitions. I'm painting at 100% opacity. Change my brush here. Again, avoiding any areas like this. I'm not painting on the strap here because it would make it sort of fade, and we don't want that. So it seems like a very subtle change, and it is. It is a very subtle change. It's not like adding a blur channel or a blur layer or anything like that. It's completely different. So if I turn it off, you can see we did make quite a difference to the skin. Actually, I can see her eyebrow has been affected a little more than I want. So what I'm going to do is switch my foreground color to black and just erase over the eyebrows to make sure that I'm not affecting. There we go. So this area here, which I was most worried about smooths out quite a bit. Very nice. I find now if I were to zoom in, you can see all of that texture is maintained. It's not a fake texture like you might get in some high-pass skin smoothing techniques. I think that texture is very, very realistic. I can hardly even tell. When I zoom in, I can't tell that the process has been run. Some of these lowlights, I think maybe, now this is just personal preference. It's going to be different in your image. I just feel like maybe this cheek was better served having that hard transition there. So there we go. I'm leaving that cheek. Just my preference. There we go. Turn it off. Turn it on. It's smoother, softer, and has all its texture. From there I would flatten my layer. Here's your little drop down here. Flatten the image and save that. That is done. Bye everybody. Have a great day.